Hi, and welcome to accent reduction workshops and English language tutorials. We're looking at Lesson 1 today, and Lesson 1 deals with phonetics. We will be looking at consonants, consonant symbols, sounds, and whether they're voiced or voiceless. So let's begin with the first set of consonants. Our first set is the sound for P and B. They're indicated by the phonetic symbol P and B. In brackets, this means sound. So here we have pa and here we have ba. Both of these are the same manner of articulation. We can make the same articulation. Let's not say sound then. Let's say production. Production to equal the sound. All right? They're both the same, actually. They're bilabial, which means both lips. All right? Both lips. Pa, 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 ba, ba, ba. They're actually what they call a stop, because you cannot continue with that sound. Once you make it, you cannot continue. You can't go or ba, 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 ba. All right, so it's called bilabial, and it's a stop. So they are both produced the same way. They're actually counterparts. If you can make pa, you can make ba. The only difference is voicing. Voiced or voiceless consonants. So a voiced consonant we can feel here in our voice box. It vibrates. Pa, 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 pa. Does not vibrate, so we consider that voiceless. The ba, ba, ba does vibrate. It vibrates. Ba, bob, pat. All right, so pa is considered voiceless. Ba is considered voiced. All right, so the difference is in voicing. They're articulated or produced in the same way. So students may have problems when they want to say lap, and if they don't pronounce it voiceless, they'll end up with lab, and vice versa. If they want to say lab, but they don't voice it, it comes out lap. All right, so consonants come in three positions. There's the initial, there's the medial, meaning they come in the middle, medial, and the final, where they come final. Final position. Okay, so for example, these two, this is the initial, this is the final position. This is the final, that's the initial position. So sometimes speakers have difficulty, in making the sound when it's in a particular position. For example, the word judge, is easy for most when it's in the initial position. When it's in the final position, judge, it's more difficult. Sometimes they will trade for another consonant sound, which may cause miscommunication. Let's look at the next set. The next set of vowels next set of consonants is t and d, represented by lowercase t and lowercase d. Okay, once again, in brackets means sound. T, d. T, t, t. You don't feel vibration, so it's voiceless. D, d, d. You do feel the vibration. It's voiced. All right. How is it produced? Well, it's the top of your tongue touching right behind the front of your teeth. Ta, ta, ta. Da, da, da. All right, so it's easy enough. So it's tongue, tip to behind front teeth. also a stop because we can't go t-t-t-t-t. We only can do it once. Ta, 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 da, da, da. All right. Let's move on to the next set. The next set is K and G. They have the same manner of articulation. K and G. Okay? And their symbol is small case K and small case G. Ka, ka, ka. And ga, ga, ga. How we make this sound is the back of our tongue, against top, back, roof of our mouth. All right? So, it's way back here. Ka. And the base of our tongue lifts and touches the top roof of our mouth, way in the back. Ka, 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 ga, ga, ga. Notice we even pull back on our face. Ka, ga, to make that sound, to push the back of our tongue up there. Ka is voiceless. Ga is voiced. All right, so what is common for speakers to do when they are making mispronunciations with these sounds is when they intend to say think or thing, for example, they actually say think because they don't voice it properly. So there are some thinks. There are some thinks in the room, when they should say there are some things in the room. Voicing is very important because there are other rules that we need to consider, or they work for other rules. They help us to create or implement other rules. Rules of final S and rules of ED, and we'll look at that in later lessons. The next group is fa, is F, fa, 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 and va, 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 fa, fa, fa. How we produce it is top teeth to bottom lip. So they call those labiodental. Labiodental. That means lip to teeth. So what F and V, F, and V, va, va, va. All right, so F is voiceless. V is voiced. Fa, 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 va, va, va. But they're the same production, lip to teeth. We actually use it like a filter. We let air flow through. So we're biting and letting air come through our front teeth, our top teeth, as if it were a filter. And v. All right? They call these fricatives. Fricatives are unlike stops, because fricatives, you can make the sound forever and ever, or at least until you run out of breath. So there's the difference in voicing. Let's take a look at what people can confuse. If you want to say fan, 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 and if you voice it, it will equal van. All right, so these are common problems. Let's move on to TH. There's actually two forms of TH. All right, there's the voiced form, which equals theta. TH equals theta, as in theta, the Greek alphabet, theta. All right. Then we have That's the voiceless. The voiced TH, the voiced TH looks like a backwards 6 with a T, a crossover. And that is the, as in the ball. Okay, so we have the voiceless and the voiced TH. TH is called interdental. Interdental. Interdental means between the teeth. Students need to remember that if they want to make this sound, you have to bite your tongue. Many cultures, and in many cultures, showing your tongue is considered rude or vulgar. You don't have to go, ugh, but just bite your tongue and say, theta, the, both, loathe, right? Both, right? Think, these. All right, so as you can tell, one is voiced, the other is, and once again, you're filtering air through those top teeth. Right, so let air go through. It's also fricative. All right, so both and those. This is voiced. This, and both. That's voiceless. The theta. All right, let's move on to the next set. The next set is easy. This is S and Z, the S and the Z. All right, and that equals smaller case s, Z is small case z. So it's easy to remember these. There's just a few of the consonants that you'll have difficulty trying to generate or produce the symbol. The sa and the za, production, how do we produce it? Well, it seems like the tip of my tongue is behind my bottom teeth, like just touching against the bottom teeth, and then I close my teeth and let air through. And that's the sound of the snake. The snake, and that's voiceless. Voiceless. And the voiced. Zzz. So, for the voiceless, think like a snake. And for the voiced, zzz, think like a bee. All right, let's take a look at the time here. So I would say that tip of tongue, pressed behind bottom teeth. Make a big smile, close your teeth, and all right, make sure you show your dimples. All right, well, the problem with S and Z is that in a lot of languages, they don't have the final Z sound. And remember, we have plurals, S and Z, right? Plural. When you want to say friends, which gets the Z sound, friends, many people will say friends. It will come out friends because they don't make the voiced sound. So as you can see, you can produce different words just by changing the sound. Okay, well, let's talk about our next sound. The next sound is j, sh, and j. All right? S-H, sh, and j, 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 the voiced. So we have the voiceless, and the voiced. Okay, so the voiceless, shh, shh, baby sleeping. And then the voiced, zh, zh, shh. By pursing the lips, shh, shh, and zh, 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 feeling the vibration. All right, so the symbol that we use for shh is like an S, but it's a very long S, right? Stretched out S. So it's shh, as in bush, all right? The voiced sound is zh, 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 as in measure, measure, all right? Sometimes, like in the word measure, M-E-A-S-U-R-E, some common mistakes is, instead of voicing, they use the voiceless and say measure, rather than saying measure. All right, so we have to make sure that it's zh, zh. And what I like to tell my students is, to understand the sound, it's like a Z with a J sound. Together, combined together, it makes zh, zh. Alright, so it's like a Z with our regular A, or our regular alphabet J. So combined is zh, zh. Alright? So, mesh, sh, and zh, zh. Alright. Our next sounds. The next sounds that we come across are CH, 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 and the J, 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 j. The CH is voiceless. J, j is voiced. Alright? So CH, the symbol would be T with the sh. Always put it in brackets. So, in order to make CH, you need to begin with the t, 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 the T sound, and the sh, sh, sh. It's a combination of both. So it's t, sh, cha, cha. Alright, put together is cha, cha. Alright, so really it's ta plus sh equals cha. Alright, so that's how we can distinguish between words like cha and sh. Alright, words that end with much instead of saying mush. Okay, so we have to always have that stop, that t, 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 sh, cha. Alright, so this is voiceless, and we have words like much and chip versus ship. Alright, then we have the j. The j is the voiceless. Okay, here we're using da, 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 the voice da, that's our stop, plus the voiced zh, zh. So remember the counterpart before with sh and zh? Well, we have that same counterpart with cha and judge. Alright, so many non-native speakers, English speakers, have difficulty. The hard part about the j, and we have to say d, j, j, j. Alright, d, j, j. Alright, make sure that you combine those two. Well, we talked before about initial, medial, and final position. Alright, and the problem that a lot of speakers have is not when J is in the initial, as in the name Janet. But many people have problems when they find J in the final position. Final. As in words like judge. Judge. Here they can make this very clearly. Judge. But others tend to say judge, rather than judge. Well, let's talk about these next two. Ma, na. M and N are simply M and N. Ma, na. These are bilabials, two lips together. Ma. Voiced. They're voiced, but they're also considered nasal. So it's difficult to make the sound when your nose is obstructed or plugged. Ma, na. This is why when we're not feeling well, under the weather, we often have difficulty in our pronunciation because our nasal passages are obstructed. Okay, so they're both voiced. That's one thing about nasals, is that they're both voiced. All right? And they're relatively easy. I think they're universal. Ma, mom, none. All right? So I think they're pretty clear here. So why don't we just move on to the next one. The next one's pretty close. It's like a N and a G, or NG. And that's our sound for ing, ing. All right, as in searching. All right, searching or looking, ing. All right. The difficulty that many people have with this in the final position, it's in the final position, is confusing it with the simple K sound, the k. So I am trying versus I am trying. All right. So what we need to do is consider that. Remember, if you remember, the G and K, the G and the K, have the same manner of articulation. The only thing that makes them different is in voicing. And we'll learn more about voicing. So you need to remember that also when you're dealing with words that end with ing, so that they don't end in in, k. Ink, ink, ing versus ink. The next one's in the alphabet, the phonetic alphabet. This is a nightmare. This is your L and your R, okay? Represented by L in brackets, la, and R, small case R in brackets. Okay, this is a classic problem for Asian speakers, okay? Instead of saying roll equals lol, all right? Rice equals lice, okay? So these two words are very different. What's interesting about this is that rice could really look like little lice. Okay, so this is what makes it interesting minimal pair when we mispronounce. So Asian speakers, the difference between la and ra. Well, they're both voiced. Both voiced. I find that they're very different from each other. L, when we're using the la, we're actually touching the roof. La, like in the ta position. When we're making ta, we make la. But we are pressing, voicing, and pushing the tongue out, flipping the tongue out. La. Okay. The difference between la and ra. If you notice, the tongue is, if you look in a mirror, your tongue when you're making ra, you're making like a spoon. You're making a spoon. I don't know if you can see that. But as if you were holding water in your tongue. Ra, ra. You're voicing and then flicking forward with the tongue. Ra, ra, ra. So it's spooned up. Where the la is straight, it's very tense, it's tight and straight up. Okay. Also, another thing to consider, let me put this paper down, is this ra comes right from the voice box, right here. So when you say la, 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 if I press, like I'm constricting my throat or choking myself, I cannot make the ra sound, but I can make the la sound. La, 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 love. I love you. Okay? Now, when we say ra, ra, it comes right from here. I love you. Or I am in a rush. All right, so ra, rush. It comes way down in the throat. So that's a big distinction from here to down here. So try to separate them. And remember the articulation, the position for ra, like a spoon, and for la is just straight up as if you were saying ta, ta, or da, da. You're saying la, la. Okay? That's easy enough. So next in our alphabet is W and Y. Wa, 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 wa. Right? What I tell my students to do when they're confusing W and V, as in, students from India or students from Pakistan, Bangladesh, tend to confuse wa with va, va, va. So, in order to make wa, 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 you need to think it's windy, it's a glide, it's water, it's wind, it's whistle. So you need to have your lips rounded. I often tell students to use a pen, bite on the pen, water, wa, 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 wind, so that they're not confusing wa with va, va, va. All right? So this is a problem when wa equals va. All right? But remember, the va is voiced, the fa is voiceless, and they're labial dental. Fa, 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 va, va, va. Okay, so wa is rounded. You do not constrict. It's like wind, whisper. All right, so your W and WH sounds are all wa. Okay. So please try not to confuse them, because water will become vater. Okay? And the next here to consider is the Y, or Y in brackets, ya, 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 yellow, yellow, ya, ya, ya. Notice I'm pushing back, ya, ya, ya. All right? Now, some Latin speakers, like in Spanish, for example, the Y is equal to the ja. All right? So you need to take a look at the difference when we're saying yes, yes, versus Jess, Jess, or yellow equals jello. Okay? Yellow and jello. So we need to, for the Spanish speakers, you need to consider that yeah, yeah, nice big smile, yeah. The jaw gets brought down a little bit, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's glides right out. Yellow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also voiced. All right, so let's remember that this is voiced, because voicing is very important, and we're going to talk about the importance of voicing in the next lesson when we start considering adding final S's to words that end with Y. Remember, drop the Y, add I-E-S. Okay, so and we need to understand that Y is voiced in order to give it the voiced ending of S. Our last one, the very last one of this lesson is ha. H equals H in brackets, that's ha, ha. Home, home. Ha, ha, ha. That's a true throat. Home. Yeah. Home. Om. Home. All right. Now, most speakers don't have difficulty, but I do notice that French speakers tend to drop the home. So when they want to say the word hospital, they end up with hospital. Home becomes om, and so on. So this pretty much wraps it up for the lesson on consonants. And the next lesson, we're going to talk about the importance of final consonants, understanding the voicing of final consonants, because there are some grammar rules that the understanding voicing of consonants, you need to understand them in order to apply very, very basic structures in English.